Hello everybody. Today, very important lesson. I can perform operations with exponents by following their rules. We're going to talk about the basic rules of exponents. This lesson is mostly like a middle school lesson, but we need all this stuff in order to move on to the high school stuff. We need to be comfortable with it. So let's get right into it. The first set of numbers is multiplication. So when I am multiplying exponents, we are going to multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. So we talked about a lot of this stuff already earlier this year, but we're really just going to focus and make sure we're comfortable with all this because we need all this stuff moving forward. So when we're multiplying exponents, we're multiplying the coefficients, we're adding the exponents. So for number 1 here, I'm going to multiply the coefficients. Coefficients meaning the numbers in front of the variable. So 4 times 2 is 8. Then I'm going to add my exponents. 3 plus 5 is 8. So my answer would be 8x to the power of 8. Try number 2 on your own. It should take no more than about 15 seconds. When we're multiplying, we multiply our coefficients. 3 and 7 is 21. We add our exponents. 4 plus 8 is 12. When we're multiplying, multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. Number 4, division. When I am dividing exponents, we are going to divide the coefficients and subtract the exponents. So it's similar to multiplication. For multiplication, we multiply, then add. For dividing, we divide, then subtract. So, number 4, we divide the coefficients. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Then we subtract the exponents. 8 minus 3 is 5. That's your answer. Try number 5 on your own. I'll give you about 15 seconds. When you're dividing, you divide the coefficients. 24 divided by 3 is 8. You subtract the exponents. 9 minus 2 is 7. That's your answer. All right, we'll skip past 6. You'll try it on your own later. 7. Anything to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. That's it. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So x to the 0 power is 1. 4x to the 0 power. I want you to think about what that answer is going to be on your own. I'll give you about 10 seconds. Anything to the 0 power is 1. All right, next rule. Let's talk about what exponents actually mean now. Exponents, when you see an exponent, that means that you are multiplying a number by itself this many times. So 7 to the 2nd power means 7 times itself 2 times. 7 times 7 is 49. A bunch of these? No. Number 11, 2 to the 4th power means 2 times itself 4 times. So I want you to write it out and come up with an answer. I'll give you about 15 seconds. Two to the fourth power means 2 times itself. 4 times, you can use a calculator if you need to. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And no, you don't need to write out the steps. I was just kind of showing you the thought process that was going on. So what an exponent actually means, if you have an integer or a number to a power, you're just multiplying it by itself that many times. I promise you, if you feel like you're bored, then it's about to pick up a little bit. All right. When you have an exponent outside parentheses, to get rid of parentheses, give the exponent to everything inside the parentheses. It's kind of like distribution, where you're going to distribute to everything inside, except it's not multiplication, it's not a plus and a minus. We're going to give it to everything inside. Now, I just realized, I feel like I skipped something here. I never did a power to a power. So let's talk about a power to a power. I guess we'll do that within this. So this would be 3 to the second, x to the fourth second, y to the second. So 3 to the second we just talked about. That means 3 times itself twice. 3 times 3 is 9. Now what we didn't talk about yet is raising a power to a power. And when you raise a power to a power, you're multiplying the powers. That's x to the 8th. Y squared is just y squared. That's your answer. So when you raise a power to a power, multiply powers. And I think I'm going to kind of like give you a little visual of all the different rules after I type them all out, so you have them to refer to at the end. All right, so I'll go over number 14 with you. Again, I have an exponent outside parentheses, so everything inside gets it. So 2 gets the third power, x squared gets the third power, and y to the third gets the third power. Now, 2 to the third power. That means 2 times itself 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. When I raise a power to a power, I multiply the powers. 2 and 3 is 6. When I raise a power to a power, I multiply the powers. Y to the 9th. Why don't you try number 15 on your own? I'll give you about 30 seconds. Okay. Everything inside gets it. So x squared gets the fourth power, y gets the fourth power, 2 gets the fourth power, m gets the fourth power, n to the third gets the fourth power. When I'm raising a power to a power, I multiply the powers, so that becomes x to the 8th. That y is good. On the bottom, 2 to the 4th means 2 times itself 4 times. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. M is good. N to the 3rd to the 4th. When I'm raising a power to a power, I multiply the powers. And that's my answer. When you have an exponent outside parentheses, you're giving it to everything inside the parentheses, every variable, every integer. If there's stuff on top, it stays on top. If there's stuff on bottom, it stays on bottom. Now, same thing here, but we're dealing with fractions. Let's just talk about how to multiply fractions in general. If I'm well, let's just kind of do it off to the side here. So I have my 1/2 power outside parentheses, so everything inside gets it. When I'm raising a power to a power, I'm multiplying the powers. So 4 times 1/2. Listen, you can use the calculator. However, this is really simple, and I really want you to be able to do this without the calculator. To do 4 times 1/2, you're doing 4 times 1 divided by 2. 4 over 2 is 2. To do 3 times 1/2, you're doing 3 times 1, which is 3, over 2. And since 3 over 2 don't divide nicely, you would just leave it as 3 over 2. When you're multiplying by a fraction, just multiply the tops and then divide by the bottom. If it divides nicely, divide it. If it doesn't divide nicely, then leave it as is. I'll start you off on number 17. I have an exponent outside parentheses, so everything inside gets it. So the x squared gets the 1/3 power, the y to the 6th gets the 1/3 power, the z to the 9th gets the 1/3 power. When I'm raising a power to a power, I'm multiplying them. When I'm multiplying by a fraction, multiply the tops, put it over the bottom. So I'll do the 2 times 1/3 for you, and I'll have you do the rest on your own. 2 times 1/3 is just 2 times 1, which is 2, over 3. Since they don't divide nicely, you would leave it as 2/3. I want you to try the 2 on the bottom.
This is my table, yeah.
Sorry about that, it's hard to find a quiet corner. So 2 times 1 is 2 over 3. Since they don't divide nicely, I'm leaving it as 2 over 3. I want you to try and do the bottom 2 on your own right now. Okay, 6 times 1/3, and you don't need to write it off to the side like this. You should be able to do it mentally. I'm just kind of writing it off to the side so you see my thought process. 6 times 1 is 6, over 3 is 2. 9 times 1 is 9, over 3 is 3. Starting with 19, it's just kind of a combination of the things we've already done. So let's just do maybe 1 or 2 of them, and then I'll let you do the rest on your own. So number 20, the first thing you need to do, since you have an exponent outside parentheses, is give it to everything inside. So it becomes 2 to the 2nd, x squared to the 2nd, y to the 3rd to the 2nd. That gets rid of the exponent outside parentheses. 2 to the 2nd is 4. X squared to the 2nd, we multiply our powers. Y to the multiplier powers. And now that you dealt with that, to multiply, we multiply the coefficients, and we add our exponents. And that would be your answer. Do I want to do one more? No, not really. I think it's just kind of combining everything that we already did. I think you can kind of do it on your own. And just as a little hint, I want you to always get rid of the parentheses first. Whenever you have an exponent outside parentheses, deal with that first. I did promise I was going to give you something, so just sit tight for a moment. Let me pause. So this is basically, I snipped this from the front of your packet. This is a little bit of extra, but basically everything is here. When you're multiplying, you're adding the exponents. It's showing you an example of that here. When you're dividing, you're subtracting the exponents. When you're raising a power to a power, you're multiplying. Anything to the 0 power is 1. We didn't talk about this yet. We're doing that in the next lesson. If exponents are outside parentheses, everything gets it. We just talked about that. And then this right here is kind of what we're going to be following in the more complicated problems. But you definitely want to get rid of parentheses first, and then you're going to multiply, divide, do whatever you got to do. So your classwork/homework is to finish this. We need to master the basic rules before we move on to the more complicated ones and integrate them. So again, when you're multiplying, I'll just use this one right here. You're going to multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. When you're dividing exponents, you divide the coefficients and subtract them. Anything to the 0 power is 1. When you have parentheses, give the exponent outside parentheses to everything inside. And when you raise a power to a power, make sure you multiply the powers. Again, your classwork/homework is to finish this. Very important this gets done before we move forward. Have a great day.